welcome to Curiousaholic. My name is Haiko. I'm here with my buddy Evan.
Hey, Earthlings.
So, before we get into today's episode, here is a quick rundown of how the podcast works. So, in each episode, one of us comes up with an interesting topic that they are curious about and reveals it live to the other person in the hopes to spark a deep discussion and further our knowledge about the world around us. So, Evan, was that dramatic enough for you?
Very dramatic.
Right.
I was on the edge of my seat.
Really? Yeah, it was a bit dramatic, I know. I chose to play some strings this time around. But yeah, what are you feeling? What sort of themes?
I don't know. It sounded like the intro to a movie or something.
Right? Yeah. Here it is, the new trailer, directed by...
Directed by us.
By the Curiousaholic team. All right, so let's begin. So, for revealing the topic, I'm going to ask a question. Let's do this. If my slide, wants to work. All right. First question. What is the ideal amount of years for someone to live, in your opinion?
Ooh, it's a hard one. I actually never thought about that.
Never thought about that? Well, think about it now.
Yeah, let's think about that right now. Okay, so I guess there's like a fine line there, right? Like, do I want to live too long? Like, let's say you get to a point where you're just too old to do anything. Would I want to be alive? I'm not sure.
Okay, like that. Okay, so you don't know what that age would be where you'd be like, okay, it's enough. Like,
maybe to the point where, yeah, like past a certain point, I wouldn't be able to do anything like right before that point,
Right before that point. Okay, well, what sort of age would you give? What would you say, like, if someone died at a specific age, what age would that be where you'd be like, okay, he lived enough.
A good life.
Yeah, exactly.
I think like anything above like 70.
Anything about 70?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. That's interesting. I would say maybe 90.
90? Okay.
Yeah.
Or different perspectives there.
A bit more, yeah. I guess more about the longevity, a bit more of that. But so basically, I was just gauging to see, what is the ideal amount that you think someone would live. But what if you could live more?
Like immortality or something?
Damn, you guessed the topic.
Here we go.
Exactly.
Oh, that's cool. I like it. All right.
So what if instead of 70 or 90, you could live, 150, 200, 1,000, 10,000 years, or even infinite?
That's cool.
Right?
What do I think about that? Well, based on what I said earlier, if I was given the power to be immortal, maybe I would take it in that case.
Oh, you would?
I would.
Okay.
And I changed what I said earlier.
Look at that. Now, I have the potion to live forever. You're like, oh, maybe, yeah. I think I'll reconsider.
You got me.
Interesting how you change your mind right after you change the slide. But we're going to go deep into it. And maybe I might make you question again if you do want to live forever. So, we're going to have some interesting debates.
So maybe I'll go back to my initial claim.
I don't know. Maybe. We'll see.
Okay.
All right. So let's take a few steps. Let's start with seeing what are, the major causes of death, If we want to live forever, we need to see, okay, what causes death, right? So the three main categories, if we can put them into, is first the disease, right? Any sort of, cancer, diabetes, heart disease, Alzheimer's, anything that, eventually will lead you to die. Then you have physical trauma, which is any sort of accidents you might have, a car crash, jumping off a cliff, you're thinking you're being risky and adventurous, you die, or any other accident. And obviously aging, right? If you didn't get any major disease or physical trauma with age, you're going to die eventually, right? So those are the three main causes. Now let's look at what are the preventions that exist. So for disease, we know that we have sanitation, cleaning up, washing our hands, all that, vaccines, COVID. Yep. At the moment, medications, antibiotics, quarantining, etc. So we do have ways to prevent disease to a certain extent. Obviously, there are some diseases that are harder than others, But from what we see is that the technology is advancing and we might eradicate most, if not all, diseases, hopefully, right? And then for physical trauma, like any sort of accidents, the preventions that we have, well, creating safer environments, so making a society where it's less likely that you might die from, a car accident or any other accidents. Or if you do have an accident, then we have improved paramedic response. So, like ambulances will get to you faster, so you'll have a chance to survive. But then the third one, the aging part. What are the preventions for aging? Would you have any ideas for that? Because I don't like it.
I heard of like people that specialize in like anti-aging, that field of medical science, that they really, their whole focus is longevity, basically. What could make us live the longest possible life?
Yeah, exactly.
I know a doctor, his name is Peter Attia, I think.
Okay.
And
I haven't heard about
he's
him.
like, he's one of these doctors that specializes in like the longevity aspect of the medical science.
Yeah, you're right. So there are certain doctors that are specialized in, rejuvenating medicine and trying to figure out how can they just extend someone's life. But yeah, it's still there isn't any concrete ways of doing it, and it hasn't been developed fully to reach that point. As you see in our current society, medicine is all about treatment, treating disease, and trying to prevent, but eventually, they're just like, okay, we can't take care of you anymore. You're just going to die, because your cells have been too damaged or your DNA has, is faulty at this point. But let's continue. So let's look at, a bit how aging works, right? If we want to try to prevent it. So aging has a few different things that it comprises of. Losing cells, right? As you age, you lose more and more cells. Another thing called cell senescence. I don't know if you've heard about that word.
I haven't heard of it.
Senescence means, where where your cell has reached a point where it can't proliferate anymore, like it can't duplicate anymore.
Right. Okay.
Because I don't know if you know in biology, like each cell has like a limited number of times that it can duplicate. And I think it's related to the telometer in the cell or something like that. And once it's reached that point, then your cell dies. And then if a lot of cells reach that point, then your organs fail, and etc. DNA damage, right? If you get radiation or anything that damages your DNA, so that's like the core of your cells, then that can lead to cancerous mutations. If your cells start to multiply like constantly, then it can create tissues and out of control. And another thing called intracellular, extracellular junk. It's a bit of a colloquial way to say it, but it means like anytime, because your cells are always functioning, right? And sometimes they create like sort of garbage, like any sort of molecular proteins or stuff that just gets accumulated, and that starts to cause damage.
Yeah.
So it's just a normal process of being alive, basically. Right. Because people forget, you're healthy, you're alive, but each time when you take a breath, you age just a bit more, Yeah. So that's how aging works, and that's what we want to try to reduce, that process. So the scientist or person who studies this field, who is like a leading researcher, the person I know, not the one that you mentioned before, is called Aubrey de Grey, and he's really like into this field of regen medicine.
Did he study like how to get a longer beard?
Oh yeah, because in the picture
I want his beard.
Yeah, he does have a majestic beard. I have to, give him that. He also has a really long hair, but yeah, I don't know. How is he regenerating his beard to...
He knows secrets that we don't know.
He has the magic potion for beards.
Yeah.
Not yet for maybe aging, but...
He has like the magic beard oil.
Yeah, exactly. That's funny. But yeah, maybe we'll ask him. I don't know. Maybe someone has asked them that once. Probably. Yeah.
With a beard like that, for sure, he's gotten questions about how he got it to be that
beautiful. When I was researching and seeing videos of him, like he's had this beard since like the mid 2000s, and he's always looked the same. If you look at him now and then, it's like almost the same.
Interesting.
Just a bit older. But yeah, anyway, so this majestic bearded man studies that field, and in his explanation, how do we stop aging? So first of all, he explains how aging works. So if you look at the diagram, there's three parts. So your body, your cells work, and that's called metabolism, right? Each time your cells, they're like factories, right? They're producing energy, and that's called metabolism. But through that function, they create damage. So then that damage, when it accumulates, it leads to what he calls a pathology, which means like you start to have a disease that becomes like part of your being, and it's because of the metabolism and damage that you have that disease. He says there are two main fields that kind of work with aging. Basically, there is gerontology and geriatrics. I don't know if you've ever heard.
I've heard of geriatrics, but I haven't heard of the first one.
The first one, yeah. Okay, do you know anything about geriatrics, let's say?
No. I heard the word, but I don't really know anything about it.
I know. I had actually also heard about geriatrics and not the other one, and also didn't know much about it. But
it's like, those words sometimes you hear, but you're like, yeah, I've heard that before, but know nothing about it.
Yeah, exactly. It's that kind of feeling. Geriatrics, so basically they're specialized in treating like old people. Basically, they deal with old people and trying to reduce their diseases, so they don't develop further. So they try to keep elderly people as healthy as they can until, the end of their lives.
Oh, yeah. That makes sense, because I knew someone that worked in that area of the hospital, I think. And she was... Yeah, basically with all the old people, and they're
kind of like
at
nurses.
The end of, are they at the end of life necessarily, or?
Maybe. I guess it could still work. Yeah, it's just trying to extend the life of elderly people after like some of the damage has been done. So treating their diseases and trying to reduce the amount. So that's what geriatrics deals with. Gerontology. So that's basically trying to reduce, but like before the damages happen, what leads you to age, anything. It's really like multidisciplinary, so it can be social, psychiatric, medical, any sort of field that can help to understand what causes you to age, and trying to reduce that. But that's also kind of tough to do, because some people have tried to re-engineer our metabolism, which, if you know how the cellular metabolism works, it's insane. Just the amount of processes that happen.
Yeah, it's complex for sure.
It's very complex, yeah. So Aubrey de Grey, he's like, okay, look, let's not try to change metabolism, and let's not try to, treat diseases that have already, past the point where it's already tough to treat them. Why don't we just, maintain, like, let's say if a damage happens, like, a cell starts to accumulate intracellular junk or whatever, we try to treat that as soon as possible, by the use of stem cells, nanotechnologies, or even there's talk of like having miniature, like really nano robots that go in your bloodstream. I don't know if you've heard that.
No, but I've definitely heard of stem cells. That's
that one
it's a really popular treatment nowadays.
Yeah, and they're trying to improve that, because as we know, stem cells, they're like a blank cell which can become any sort of cell in your body, which is very, very highly valuable. But yeah, in his explanation is that we just try to not change how we age, and not try to maintain when we've already aged, but just try to maintain the damage that's done. The example he gives, he says, look at cars like a 1920s Rolls Royce. How is it still rolling today? Some people who collect their cars until like this year is because they maintain it. They change the engine, they change the tires, they change the parts in it as they age, right? So he gives that kind of explanation. I don't know, what do you think of like that way of going about aging, of trying to maintain the damage that happens, as soon as it happens, we prevent it? And
yeah, well, I think it's a smart idea, right? Like you said, instead of kind of being like super preventative and stop it before it happens, kind of, it's like as soon as it does happen, to kind of like jump in and intervene when
exactly
a problem arises, let's say.
Yeah. Well, because we can try as much as we want to prevent, but it's gonna happen. And he said, if you want to stop aging, you have to mess with metabolism. And you want to really try doing that, he says, good luck, you're never gonna accomplish that.
Yeah. You can't mess with human nature that much, right? You could only do so much.
Exactly. And then, there might be some ethical questions in that point, are we like changing, what it's about being human? Some people are for, that, people will say, oh, well, in the future, we're going to become like cyborgs or have like electronic limbs or whatnot, be half human, half robot, potentially. I don't know. But yeah, so his point is like the damage happens as soon as we can, we basically help that damage. Okay. So there are people who are working on this and want to help people live. I don't know. When I watched his videos, he didn't really say like, you could live for forever, but he said life can be extended. Why do we have to be at the mercy of aging? So, which, I kind of agree. And I think people should have a long life as long as they can. I was saying maybe 90 or more, but now we're going to get into the deep of it, in the crux of it, because I have some questions here. Okay.
We like doing that here.
The philosophical questions. So first question, do we want to live forever, or should there be a point where, we die?
Yeah, it comes back to that initial question almost,
a bit. Yeah.
Have I changed my mind? I don't think so. Like, I think that number I gave, 70, it's pretty accurate. Like, I'd like to live to at least 70 is what I mean.
Okay.
But I don't know if I would want to live forever, even though we talked about immortality and stuff. Like, I was kind of kidding around when I said that,
Okay.
I could be immortal and stuff. But yeah, I guess to a certain degree, like, yeah, if you did everything you had to do here, then I don't know. So I think it'll be over after that.
It'll be over at one point. Okay, maybe a second question that can help you. Yeah, if we were to live for 10,000 years, let's say, what would be our urgency to act in our life? Have we ever thought of that?
That's the thing, right? Like, I can't. If you would live up to 10,000 years and you would kind of know that, would you really have any urgency to do anything?
But that's what I'm saying.
No.
Well, exactly.
So no.
No, yeah. So you would just wake up every day. You'd be like, I still got, 9,000 years to go, or, well, not even, if you're like in your 20s, then you'll have 9,000.
Yeah, but here I have a plot twist for you. What if we go into space and you're traveling really fast and then time goes like at a different rate?
Okay, well, so then time passes slower?
Slower.
Well, okay, that's going to make it even worse then.
It's going to be even worse.
Your 10,000 years are going to double to 20. Well, okay, maybe that might start to confuse some people, but let's say on Earth, 10,000 years, but you wouldn't have any urgency to act. You wouldn't have any sort of like, okay, well, why do I have to do this now? I'll do it, in 100 years.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? So same. I think there wouldn't be any urgency to act. The other question I want to ask, wouldn't we mentally get tired from living so long?
Definitely.
Think about it.
Yeah.
10,000 years. I mean, I'm actually giving a finite amount. Imagine eternal, because immortality means you'll never die.
Yeah, definitely. I think I would be drained mentally. You get to see so many different, experiences and different events happen in your life, and at one point, it's going to short circuit your brain or something.
Exactly. So are we also going to rewire the way our brains work?
What do you mean by that? Like,
well, because people think about living forever, but then they don't think about how just our human evolution has brought us to, have a brain that's able to handle just so much, right? And then after a certain point, the memories you accumulate, the emotions and everything. So people who want to live forever, have they thought about how they're going to maybe reset their brain? Are they going to do something that cleans up their memories, or, right?
From like
just the accumulation of all that in your brain.
From like a physiological point of view, like your brain probably can't tolerate all that, right? Like for that long. And you'd have to do something to like wipe your memory or something.
Yeah,
I'm not
because
sure.
I don't know. I feel like immortality could lead to insanity.
Yeah, I agree.
Like, let's be real. It could lead
Yeah.
to insanity unless we develop some super duper futuristic technology which enables us to, keep living without, bogging down our brains and our spirits and, how we feel. Yeah, the other question I was going to ask, would life always excite us?
No.
Would there be new things that would always excite us? The thing I always hear people say, well, yeah, but if you could live forever, you could have space exploration, space colonization. You might even, meet the aliens one day. We don't know what space has to offer. Yeah, I want to live as long as I can for thousands of years to just see, yeah, I agree. Space is immense and all that. Okay, but is that a reason?
That's a good point.
Would
Yeah.
that be exciting enough? Because I've heard, yeah, some people's arguments is like, yeah, I want to travel space, so why not?
So people get excited by like the science fiction stuff, like
Yeah, they've seen so many movies and they're like, yeah, I want to see E.T. one day.
yeah. I guess personally, I don't think I'd be excited that much about life anymore. It's like you've seen the same, thing every single day for 10,000 years. Like, what can you be possibly excited about? Like, I'm not sure.
Yeah, exactly. Like, let's say for our personal lives, right? Yeah, you get with someone, you marry someone, or you don't, whatever. You have kids. Let's say you have a family. Okay, then they have kids. Then your great grandchildren, great grandkids, great grandkids, and you're like, okay, I've seen this like a million times already. Like, I don't really care. And you have such a huge lineage of people where you don't even remember.
It's like you're the great uncle of the,
Yeah, exactly. Where your lineage gets so big that it's like you don't really have meaningful connections with any of them.
Yeah, that's a good point too. Like
Right?
your family would be so like extended that you wouldn't even know their names. Like
Just 1,000 years, you would have an unimaginable, amount of like lineage, and so I guess that wouldn't excite after a certain point, right? So then your life purpose would just be to explore, yeah, okay, other galaxies and all that, but okay, let's say 10,000 years is a long amount of time. I imagine in 10,000 years we would explore space and do all of that. Okay, let's say you did all that, then what?
yeah, then humans always want more. It's like I went to space, then let's dive into black holes or something.
I want to be able to be in a black hole for once.
Yeah,
That's why I want to live forever. Yeah, of course. Yeah,
we had a discussion on black holes once.
yeah, we did. Yeah, that was an interesting. But but that's it. Yeah. What if I could meet an alien? I don't know. You could, but do you want to live 10,000 years just so you can get to that point?
What if you live 10,000 years and you like someone promised you that you could see aliens at the end of it, but what if like you can't visibly see the alien? Like, would you be disappointed? It's like,
Oh yeah, I would. But okay, why not be able to? Because it's in another form.
maybe it's in another form that like the human brain
You
can
know what?
perceive.
If
or
I'm gonna
something.
leave 10,000 years, they better have technology or something with my eyes where I can freaking, see those damn aliens, or else yeah, I'll be disappointed. No, yeah, that's true, because there's so much of the visible light spectrum that we don't see, like the higher frequencies and lower frequencies, where there's a lot in our universe that we don't see. Like what we see right now is just a tiny fraction
Yeah.
of light and its spectrum. So yeah, another question, yeah, I guess sort of kind of ties in. After accumulating so much memory, how would that impact our life and our identity? How much will we remember?
Yeah, I'd probably be brain dead or something. Just like you'd have to hit the reset button on my head.
Doop. I'm Evan again.
Yeah.
And you Evan. but that's what I'm saying, right? Because people want to live forever, but don't think how that will impact, their brains. Like, will we wipe our memory? Would there be some sort of technology to?
There'd have to be like a technology, yeah, to like almost have like a clean slate and then be able to maybe enjoy life again or something.
Yeah, but then how would that affect your identity? Because part of your identity is built on what you experience, what you remember.
So I guess it's almost like saying you live in the same body, but you're not even living as the same person, right? Because if you accumulated all that knowledge throughout your life,
And then it was for
and
nothing.
then you forget everything, that just makes you another person, right? So are you technically immortal, or you're just
Oof, that's deep.
yeah?
Yeah, I didn't think of that way, but yeah. Imagine you get a clean slate, or maybe half a clean slate, or some parts of your memories get deleted, but we get into the world of like how computers work, but our brains, the way our nerves work, you can't say, okay, I'll cut this memory, I'll cut that memory.
Yeah.
You can't.
Oh, Heiko needs more RAM.
Yeah, exactly. Let me upgrade my hard drive. Let me format, part of a hard drive. Leave some of the knowledge.
Knowledge.
Yeah. But you're right. Let's say there was a technology to erase your memories. I think they would erase all or nothing. So if they erase all, then who are you?
Because I feel like that probably caused some issues, right? Let's say, I know this is getting pretty deep.
Yeah.
But let's say you erase half your memory. What if there's like a memory that like depended on another one or something?
Well, exactly. It's just so complex.
It would make no sense.
But that's why I think if there was such a technology that existed, it would be all or nothing. Really.
True. Yeah.
But then again, I'm like, how would that affect your language, your communication? Would you be a baby? Like,
You'd be another person.
You'd be like, hey,
basically.
Evan, you couldn't even speak anymore. But yeah, let's just say again, hypothetically, if your language was still there, you could still talk and understand things, but just whatever you remember was deleted. Exactly. You wouldn't be the same person anymore. So what is the point? You're kind of dead.
Yeah.
Or you're reborn. Reincarnation, right?
Yeah.
Do a little nod. Actually, this episode is kind of like, related.
Part 2 of the afterlife.
Part 2 of yeah. We talked about the afterlife. Now we're like, no, let's not die. Let's try to have an eternal life, instead. And actually, a little side note: the piece that I was playing, it was actually in the same key as the one in Afterlife.
Oh, okay.
But I don't think you would.
I didn't even catch on. I can't remember what we played for the Afterlife one.
It was the Moonlight Sonata piece from Metal Wind.
Oh, true. Yeah.
Yeah. So it was in that same key, but be a bit dramatic with it. So yeah, I guess now we're rethinking.
Yeah, you're making me reconsider. Well, actually, no. Like that's what I said initially. 7 years old is what I'm going for.
7? Oh, 70?
70.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so you know what? I might say maybe even more than 100. Why not? Like you think that at 70 you would have enough that you'd be like ready to die?
Because it's not really like, for me, I think it's more physical than mental. I don't know why. Because I always see like people that are really old and they can't move. Like if I get to the point where someone has to take care of me, like help me to poop and help me to,
it sucks, right?
It sucks. So I wouldn't want to put that burden on other people. So for me, it's like when I get to that point, it's like, is it really worth living?
Okay.
I'm not sure. Like for example, I'm saying like a personal anecdote, but my grandfather, before passing away, he passed away kind of like unexpectedly, but he lived his life almost to the day where he was still able to do things on his own. So like 3 days before he passed away, he actually brought me to the store and he wasn't sick or anything. So in a sense, like, and I knew him as a person, right? So I knew that he wouldn't want to be like bedridden or anything. So in a sense, did he really have like a terrible ending to his life? I wouldn't say so, because
he was able until the end to keep his autonomy.
Right, exactly. He was driving his car.
Which, yeah, a lot of old people do. Even old people, who are really sick and might need help. They're like, no, I don't need you. I'll live alone. I'll do my grocery. I'll do everything I need to. Mm-hmm. Okay, so I get it. So you're saying, if you reach to a point physically where it's hard to just do your day-to-day task and you need help and you feel bad draining other people, of their time and energy. Okay, but let's say, since I was talking about the rejuvenating medicine, let's say, the damages were maintained and you were healthy, right? Would you want to extend?
Yeah, looking at it in that perspective, I think so. Like, let's say there was a way to like bypass that actual physical aging process,
Yeah.
then I would say, okay, let's do it. Then I'd be able to live like longer.
Yeah.
Maybe not 10,000 years, but
Exactly. So again, I think we're getting to our one of our values, which is a balance, right? Where
Yeah.
longevity can be great, and who knows? Maybe in the future, humans might be able to pass 100. Maybe the average length of life would be 90 or something, and people would live 120 or 150. I don't know. I would say, yeah, like in the hundreds. Maybe if I like push it, like 1,000.
1,000 years. All right.
Yeah, but I think yeah, a couple of hundred or maybe 100 to 200.
You'd be good.
I think it'd be pretty decent. You would have seen your great 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 grandkids and lived some happy moments, hopefully, right? And yeah.
And how many children would you have in there?
Yeah, I don't know. I can't do the math now, but
Too many to count, huh?
too many, yeah. But so yeah, in my opinion, I think if we could do at least 100 and a bit more, that could be pretty great.
Yeah. That sounds good.
It's just I know now you're being a bit, realistic or maybe a bit cynical about, yeah, 70 it's good enough because then afterwards we're become poop.
Yeah, but that's the thing, right? That wasn't taking into account the fact that like that you were saying that some people are trying to, push the boundary for longevity and stuff, and like
Yeah.
if we could remove that, then sure, like a longer life would be good.
Why not?
Yeah.
Exactly. So that's what I'm saying. It's just we were questioning the topic of immortality.
Yeah, that's too much.
That's too much, yeah, because as much as you could wipe your brain, you could have fucking electronic limbs or do all of that and have like a body of a 20-year-old all your life, but then your mind, that's what's important, right? Maybe humans can extend their bodies, like a car, right? Change the engine and everything, but what becomes of its the soul,
Yeah, like
if
the
you will.
essence of it.
The essence of it, exactly. But yeah, there's actually a little tangent. There's a movie, I don't know if you've seen it, In Time. Have you ever heard of that movie?
I heard of it, but again, it's one of those things I've heard of, but I've never
Yeah,
seen it.
it's a movie from the mid 2000s and it has Justin Timberlake who plays in it.
Okay.
And it's a movie where everyone who's born reaches the age of, I forgot, I think it's 26. And after that, you never age. Everyone looks 26 years old. So everyone looks like a young adult, but there's a catch. Everyone that's born on their hand, they have a time. And basically in that movie, it's a really good movie. Like the premise is great, where your currency is time. There's no money.
Interesting.
So the way you live forever is how much time you have.
Okay.
So everyone works and then they check out, they get added, let's say a month or, a few hours. Poor people get a few hours each time, but the rich have, millions and, thousands of years in their time. So they live very long.
Interesting. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
So you're saying like, yeah. So instead of the money, it's like you get rewarded in time, right?
You get rewarded in
Okay.
time. But that's kind of what it is, when they say money is time.
Yeah. Time is money.
Time is money. Money is an asset. It's a little inside joke with us. But yeah, I think it's interesting because they don't care about the money. It's just how long, the rich live forever basically, and the poor, die, sooner.
That's
But
unfair.
yeah, exactly. It kind of, echoes our current society, but using time instead of
But
money.
it is like a good metaphor in a sense because it's almost like it reflects how rich people in real life maybe could live a longer life because they have access to like, better
Yep.
medicine and, food and whatever you want to call it. And poor people, they don't have
Might
those
not.
resources and they have less time.
Yeah, and when those regenerative medicines come, and are available, then the rich obviously are going to be the first ones. I've even heard, I think, where in the States, somewhere in the desert, there are people who are in cryogenic chambers, like frozen.
Interesting.
Have you heard of that?
No.
That's another way to like extend your life, where you freeze your body. You've never heard about freezing?
Well, I
people?
know.
Yeah.
Yes, I know what that is.
Cryogenics, yeah. Yeah, so those people, the way they're extending it is they're freezing their body and they're saying, okay, wake me up once, the technology is there to live forever.
Oh my God, that's that's a weird thought.
But that's also very weird because let's say I freeze myself. Let's say I have kids and I freeze myself and then I come back 60 years later and my kids are like, old people. And I'm like,
But is that really true? Like, I wonder if like you could actually freeze someone and they actually live after you unfreeze them.
I'm not sure.
That seems unlikely.
I don't know. Apparently it works because it plays with your metabolism again, where when you freeze, your metabolism slows down. So you're slowly, burning and you're aging slowly, basically.
That's interesting.
Right. I don't know. I would never do that because it's just a thought of like, okay, who's going to wake me up? Or is this company going to go bankrupt?
Yeah, true. Exactly.
Because these are private companies. It's not the government. Or even the government could fail. I don't know. How can I trust someone waking me up?
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah.
Right. So, anyways, yeah. So all that to say is that some closing thoughts on this. I think, yeah, we should focus on treating and eradicating disease. I think what Aubrey de Grey says of maintaining the damages that happen as soon as they do to live a long and healthy life. He's all about health. He's just trying to give people a healthy life, to not be at the mercy of, Alzheimer's disease, Parkinson's, and cancers, all that. So that's good. Longevity is a good thing, but I think we should maybe rethink the idea of living forever.
Yeah. Our definition isn't, like, I think when we think of that, we always think about how, like, science fiction, like, talks about it. But in reality, I don't think everyone would want to live 10,000 years,
No. People think it might be cool. Wow, I could go to space. I could do all of that. But I think people think in the mindset of, like, in a span of 100 years, let's say, if like once you're 60, you could go to space. Oh yeah, that could still be exciting. But what if you can't go to space until 1,000 years later? I don't know. Just saying.
Yeah.
Or even a few hundred. It's still...
There's a lot of time in between that.
There's still a lot of time in between, and just the trauma that you might have, the emotional,
Yeah.
So
a lot of Curiousaholic episodes between that time.
What?
If we lived to
we're doing this in the year 3500, Welcome to Curiousaholic episode. I don't even remember.
10,083.
Yeah, I think I think at that point our audience would have dropped us and moved on to other things.
Yeah.
But you see, not just with life, with anything, shows, movies, whatever, it needs to come to an end.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yeah.
So,
all good things come to an end.
yeah. And that's what creates the urgency to act. That's what creates the excitement. Because if it doesn't end, then what's exciting about it?
Mm.
Right.
Yeah.
So I guess that wraps it up. Anything else?
Yeah. All good things come to an end, just like this podcast right now.
Exactly. It's the end of this podcast. So yeah. So thank you guys for watching. And
yeah. Thank you guys. That was a fun topic. I enjoyed it.
yeah, it was fun. It was deep. Really deep. See you guys next time. Bye.
Yes. Play us out.
All right. Thanks for tuning into this episode of Curiousaholic.
Our show is available on all of your favorite streaming platforms such as Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, and Stitcher.
If you're watching us on YouTube, don't forget to like and subscribe, and make sure to leave a comment letting us know what you've been curious about.
We release new episodes every single week just like this one.
But until next time, stay curious, folks.